My audience, Ashley, Noah, Ashton, Cameron, and Jamie, who's the videographer. Imagine this. You go to an Ivy League school, you graduate, magna cum laude. You have your degree. You have interned with the best firms. You receive glowing reviews. You have letters of recommendation. Your references are impeccable. You hear about a job opening and you're told you should apply. You are qualified. You get to the interview. The only other person that has applied is there for an interview as well. You start to talk. He says he doesn't know why he applied. He's not qualified. He graduated from high school. He's going to community college part-time. Not that there's anything wrong with going to community college part-time. He has no experience though. He learned about the job on Indeed.com. He didn't even bring a resume. He's interviewed first. He comes out of the interview 5 minutes later looking defeated. Now it's your turn. The interviewer seems standoffish almost immediately. However, you give a nice firm handshake. You give good eye contact. Your resume is on point. You answer the questions with ease. It's clear you are a shoo-in for the job. You were told, surprisingly, they've only had one other person to apply, and they need to fill this position immediately. You leave the interview feeling great. You go home, you type a well-worded thank you letter, and email it to the interviewer, thanking him for taking the time to interview you. 2 weeks go by, and nothing. You're out to lunch one day, and you see the man that was interviewed before you. He stops and you guys chat for a bit and tells you he started the job that you both interviewed for last week. You're perplexed. He has no other experience, was only going to college part-time, no qualifications. The only things he had that you didn't was privilege. The privilege of being a man while you're a woman. My name is Teresa Allen Hall. I'm here to talk about affirmative action and why it is necessary. Affirmative action is the product of the 1960s civil rights movement. It provides equal opportunities for minority groups and women. Many people believe that affirmative action only benefits Black people or people of color or minorities. That's not the case. Actually it is the case. It actually benefits all minorities and women. President Kennedy signed an executive order establishing the Equal Opportunity or Equal Employment Opportunity Commission to ensure that government contractors take an affirmative action to ensure applicants are hired and employees are treated in a manner without regard to their race, color, or gender. People that oppose affirmative action believe it's outdated. Some believe that the state should ensure that schools create policies to improve college readiness for all students. Some others believe that they are being discriminated against when they are denied admission to a college or university, or they lose out on a job that they applied for because they're not a minority. The thing is, inner city schools will never receive the quality of education that suburban schools receive. Why is that? I'm not sure, but it doesn't happen. And normally, the people that go to inner city schools are minorities. Now, because of that, they will not be prepared for college as their suburban counterparts. And there are many other people that support affirmative action. Now, the majority of Americans support affirmative action. According to a 2007 report by the Pew Research Group, Support for affirmative action among the American public has actually increased substantially in recent years, climbing from 58% in 1995 to 70% in 2007. Opponents of affirmative action insist that they uphold Martin Luther King's dream, of which people are judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. But Dr. King never believed that racial inequality could be eliminated by ignoring race and racism in America. It's not going to happen. In fact, he supported affirmative action and advocated the use of target race, gender, and class-conscious measures to ensure equal opportunity for all people, women and minorities, and anyone else. The hour has come for everybody, for all institutions of public sector and private sector, to work to get rid of racism. But until that happens, affirmative action is necessary. Imagine not getting a job because you're a woman, or because the only other person that applied for that job was a white man and you're a black man. Imagine that. You're qualified, you have more qualifications than the other applicants, and they get the job instead of you. Affirmative action is necessary, and it should not be abolished. The United States military supports affirmative action. Numerous high-ranking officers and civilian leaders of the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines rallied in support of affirmative action in 2003. Supreme Court case Grutter versus Bollinger, urging the court to uphold the limited consideration of race in certain contexts. They wrote, based on decades of experience, Amici have concluded that a highly qualified, racially diverse officer, corps education, and trained to command our nation's racially diverse enlisted ranks is essential to the military's ability to fulfill its principal mission to provide national security. The military has made substantial progress towards its goal of fully integrated, highly qualified officers corps. It cannot maintain the diversity it has achieved or make further progress unless it retains its ability to recruit and educate a diverse officer corps. The fact remains, today, there is no race-neutral alternative that will fulfill the military's and thus the nation's compelling interest in national security. National security. Fortune 500 companies support affirmative action. More than 60 leading Fortune 500 companies, including 3M, Coca-Cola, General Electric, Hewlett-Packard, Intel, Johnson & Johnson, Kraft Foods, Microsoft, Nike, Pepsi, Procter & Gamble, Reebok, Xerox, they all came out in support of affirmative action in 2003 and agreed to the Supreme Court in Grutter versus Bollinger. America's top universities support affirmative action. Those universities include Harvard University, Brown University, the University of Chicago, Dartmouth College, Duke University, the University of Pennsylvania, Princeton University, and Yale University. They all joined together in 2003 to voice their support for the continued use of race-conscious admissions programs. Prominent sports figures also support affirmative action. So we do understand that no one should be judged by the color of their skin, by their creed, or their gender when being hired or considered for a position for a job. However, until race relations improve in this country and a better way is figured out, affirmative action should not be abolished. It should be continued. Thank you.